Good, here we go. We'd like to welcome you out to the May 17th Commission meeting. We'd ask that you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our May 3rd meeting.
I saw no corrections.
I don't need to now make a motion to approve the minutes for the 3rd from 23.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2 is a public hearing to vacate Cherry Lane. We'll have Mr. Todd Thorne come and address that. Curtis, were you going to join? Okay, making sure.
So for this public hearing, it's to vacate Cherry Lane, which is a section of road in the Westwood subdivision off of Ranch Road. It's a little stub road that at one point was going to be used to connect some interior roads. The concept design has changed to where they're no longer to connect that all the way through. So Mr. Bob Torgerson wants to just do a 2-lot subdivision at the end of that road, vacate it, so then the lot owners would be lots 56 and 57 of phase 5 would then split the ownership of that road. So they would be in charge of all the maintenance. It would no longer be under the county right-of-way. They would be responsible for all the maintenance going forward. And then that would allow those 2 homes to be built, and the road would continue from Ranch Road to the south and then horseshoe back up on, was it Evergreen? I can't remember the next block over. It would horseshoe up, and then future lots could be developed along that U-shaped road.
Good, appreciate that. Any comments or questions before? Yep.
Let's start a
So
public hearing.
let us start the public hearing first.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll make the motion that we go into a public hearing to vacate Cherry Lane.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are in a public hearing at 4:35. Anybody'd like to come up, if you would, come and address, just state your name for the record.
Danette Fox. And I just really wanted to know that I must still have access, I guess, to my house along that side right there. Because I'm right on Ranch Road and Cherry Lane, I guess. So that's the main reason I'm here, is to make sure I still have access to my fully on that one side. That makes sense? Okay. Anything else? Do I need to?
No, if you just, yeah, whatever you want to say.
Okay, that's what I want. I just want to make sure I keep that access. So I don't know what vacating and.
So at that point, her home fronts Ranch Road, so that's the where she's addressed to. Her main point would be off of Ranch Road. She would have to work with, the owners of those 2 lots to make sure they're okay with it, but it would be their access point to their homes is where it would be. So that would become a private driveway, essentially.
It would be behind.
Yes, alongside her house. Yes, they would, each one of those lots would own half of that existing road.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Mrs. Cox. Is that do you access into like the back of your yard off of this road that's proposed to be vacated?
It's more just the side. The front of the house is here, the tree lane is right here, so it's the side of my house that I'm not gonna have enough room to get into the back. If I needed, something happened and I needed to get in through the side of that and turn on the gate and get into the yard, that's my biggest fear, is that he's gonna take that away, I guess, and not allow me to do anything outside of there.
Do you have any gates or any driveways along that side?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else like to make comment? Birthday girl? Seeing that there's no other comment, take a motion to get out of public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close public hearing.
I second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're out of public hearing.
Seth, are you trying to pull that up? Yeah. So we can get it.
Now we need the screen down, right?
Yes, that's it.
So we're looking at the GIS, the county GIS, and it looks like the current existing road ends about the west side or the very back of your property. Is that accurate? Okay. And you're just saying that if Cherry Lane is removed, you might lose some access potentially? That's what your concern is? Okay.
Todd? Is there any way in vacating that some language could be put in that would require Bob Torgerson, who would be building the homes back behind there, to have something in there to give her access?
Yeah, that's something that we could work with Bob on. If she wanted access off of what, existing Cherry Lane, that's something that could be worked out. Anything west of the property line, even in the original concept design, would have been a house lot that would have abutted up to there, so she wouldn't have been able to get around to her west boundary and in if he were to develop that originally. But the south end of her property on Cherry Lane, that could be worked out, that she can have access to the property from that side.
I guess part of what I'm thinking with your request is that you bought a corner lot and knew you had access, and now we're taking it away.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's a possibility, I think I would
I think we
about
can
that.
do that for both of the parcels,
Both
north
sides.
and south of Cherry Lane, is record a easement or an access to where those homes will always have access off of that. It'll be owned by those lots 56 and 57, but they'll give access to Mrs. Fox and I can't remember the name to the south, Brogio.
Yeah.
That whatever those parcel numbers are, that you could have access maintaining in there.
So would it be kind of almost like an alleyway, like a
Yeah.
access wide enough for a vehicle?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
Well, I would be okay with that thought, vacating it with the requirement that there's access given to those two lots.
Kind of an easement
An easement, yeah.
For the two current
for the
homes.
two current owners. I'm good with that.
And I'll make a motion that we, oh, yes.
We're out of public hearing, but yes.
Okay,
Well,
I just want
you can just
so
come up.
the road that is currently there, that is going away then? Like, the road will go away and there will be, like, just a skinny road put in there?
No.
No.
So the road will be there, will remain there. The ownership will change from the county to the owners of lot 56 and 57 of that, what's phase 5. So any future maintenance that will need to be done need to be done by those two new owners going forward. The county won't do any maintenance on that section, but it'll maintain the same the same width through there, just not maintained by the county.
And we would put it in this motion that they'd have access to the west or the back of your property, and as well as the people just, to the south of you.
So I think it would have to have access on our south property rather than the west side,
Yeah, none on the west.
just on the south side of her property access,
And the north side of the others.
and the north side of the
Yes.
other one. Yep.
Yes.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve vacating Cherry Lane in the Westwood subdivision with the requirement of Robert Torgerson that an easement for Danette Fox on parcel 02-1063-0015, and also an easement for Sunshine Brosey on parcel 02-1063-0016. And if he's willing to give that easement to them, we could vacate it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 3 is the ratification of an agreement with the West Coast Code Consultants Incorporated, WC3, to review a proposed 168-unit apartment complex. Mr. Todd Thorne.
So this contract is for what they're calling the Price Apartments located behind Tractor Supply. So we have a contract with Price City to do all their building permits and their plan review. With this particular project with 168 units coming in and a clubhouse and a pool, we thought it'd be most effective to hire a consultant to do that review that specializes in multifamily projects. So WC3, we used them before. We used them for the solar project out in Wellington. And so we wanted to enter in a contract with them to review it so that we can move forward and get it done quicker than doing it in-house.
And the fees that they would charge would go to the developer, right? Not to the county.
Yes, so the way building permit fees are structured, we have a plan review fee that's 65%. So of the plan review fee, West Coast consultants would take 65% of the building permit fee we charge. So 65% of the 65% is what they would take. And then we would retain 35% of the plan review fee on our side, and then still charge the building permit fee for all 7 of the building units and the clubhouse and pool. They will cover all the cost of all the inspections for all of the buildings moving forward.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with West Coast Consultants to review the proposed 168-unit apartment complex.
I second that.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Todd, we should have you just stay up there, but maybe we'll have a friend join you this time. Review and possible adoption of resolution 2023-02, updating the fee schedules for GIS and subdivision fees. Todd Thorne, Curtis Page.
So this resolution has to do with the fees for Curtis's departments for engineering and GIS, and also for my department for planning. What we're updating is the subdivision portion. So we charge an application fee of $100 for smaller subdivisions. And what we're asking to do is to remove that $100 application fee. So it's just a $50 for a parcel and a plat review, which is $160. So rather than $310, it would be $210 to review all of the stuff for a smaller subdivision. And then the other part is the updated GIS fee schedule. that we haven't had in the past. So Melissa and Rhiannon helped put together a fee schedule for all the GIS fees that has been included so that we can have an update for those.
So GIS has for quite a while charged for the printing of maps. And honestly, those fees were a little bit low. It actually takes a fair amount of money to print those, especially if you have an aerial photo underneath it. Just because the amount of ink and the paper that you use, depending on the quality of paper they want, it makes a difference. And so that's a small portion of the changes that you see. But I think even more important is that we are defining what types of services we will be willing to provide going forward, including digital products and what different types of data that we're willing to work with and to produce maps and products from. So if you go to, I think, this section that's titled GIS fees, I don't know that we need to go through everything here, but we've had individuals and entities extensively use county GIS services, which in many cases we're still willing to do. But I think that it's unfair that the general taxpayer pays for an individual to use county resources to generate mapping for their personal interests. So I think it's right that we recapture the cost of that. There's a lot of work that goes into taking some data and generating a specific map for an individual. We've had instances where the scope of work was outlined by the individual or the entity, and a map was generated, just what they asked for, and then they changed the scope of work. So then our GIS professionals are back in there remixing this map and changing the data and the layout, and that happened 1 or 2 or 3 times, and finally all we end up with is a printing fee. And we may have spent 12 hours working on some maps for someone. That's a lot of time, and it's worth I think it's worth recapturing those costs. So that's what you see before you.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
I don't either. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-02, updating the fees and schedules for GIS and subdivision fees.
I second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I just have an updated copy with some headings that are formatting has changed for you guys. So
Okay.
Hand them to Jeannie. So I might mention too that the county shouldn't be in the business of even doing this really. That should be done by private companies that provide those services. So this will help push those people to the private companies.
Had a motion is second, and everybody, so it is approved. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is a review and possible approval of an agreement with Helper City and Ascending Harvest LLC to receive funding in the amount of $10,000 from the Public Art Grant. Let Tina address this.
I'm gonna go fast. Just kidding. So this is a request to enter into an agreement with Helper City. We had 5 applications that applied for the public art grant through the tourism dollars, and everyone was awarded. So Helper City would receive $10,000 for their public art project, which is a sculpture as indicated in their application. If approved, the county pledges, they pay 75% of that up front after both parties have signed the understanding. And after the project is complete and a final report is presented, they would receive the other 25%. All applicants have until June of 2024 to complete the project. So this is just request to enter into an agreement with them.
And so the money comes from not direct tax dollars from the county general fund that comes from tax that's collected from tourism.
From tourism, correct.
Last week, I don't have any questions either. Last commission meeting, Mayor Peterman came in and talked to us about the potential awards. So this is just ratifying the agreements with each of those that were awarded. So I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Helper City and Ascending Harvest LLC to receive funding in the amount of $10,000 for public art.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 6 is the review and possible approval of an agreement with the Greek Street to receive funding in the amount of $1,610 from the public art grant.
Yes, same concept. The Greek Street applied for the public art grant and requested the amount of $1,610. So this is just the agreement side of it.
I'll make the motion, we approve the agreement with the Greek Street for funding in the amount of $1,610 from the public art grant.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you,
Tight.
Commissioners.
Item number 7 is review and possible approval of agreement with Southeastern Utah Business and Technical Assistance Center to receive funding in the amount of $7,500 from the public art grant.
Same thing, yeah.
Yes.
Same thing.
If you have any questions, I can help
Nope.
answer, but
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Southeastern Utah Business and Technical Assistance Center to receive funding in the amount of $7,500 for the public art grant.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
They're actually painting that one right now, aren't they?
yeah, I think that project was going to happen either way. So
Okay.
Is that the mural?
the one down at the BTEC on 375 South Carbon.
Okay.
The next two are both Price City. Can we handle those together or should we take them separately?
It looks like the nonprofit, the Main Street Southeastern, actually applied for the
Oh,
grant
okay.
to do the mural at Price Library.
Perfect. We'll just take them separate then.
Okay, we'll do number 8 then, is review and possible approval of the agreement with the Main Street Southeastern to receive funding in the amount of $10,000 from the public art grant. You know what they're going to do with theirs?
Right inside the Peace Gardens on that side of the Price City Library. And they're doing a mural as well.
Okay.
There's actually two of them. There's one on the Price City Library and then on the
Opposite.
opposite on the museum side. There'll be one there as well. Both of them very large. I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with, gotta find the right one. Main Street Southeastern to receive funding in the amount of $10,000 for the public art grant.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 9 is review and possible approval of an agreement with the Price City Desert Wave Pool to receive funding in the amount of $1,000 from the public art grant.
I'll make the motion. We approve the agreement with Price City Desert Wave Pool to receive funding in the amount of $1,000 from the public art grant.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you for your support, Commissioners.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Just a quick note on that. Mayor Corianis was wanting to be here, but he's not feeling well. But he asked that it be noted that he expressed appreciation for the public art grants, especially for the two Price City facilities. So
That's great. Okay. Item number 10 is consideration and possible approval to apply for a Bulletproof Partnership Grant. Sheriff Jeff Wood.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So this is our Bulletproof Vest Grant. Last year, we were awarded, looks like $13,500, which half of that is what we're responsible for, so $67.50. This year, we are on track for the need for about $18,000, so our matching part of that's going to be $9,000. We always match that out of funds, out of the emergency management's hard funds, I believe, is where it comes from. Their general, I forgot what he called it, something like his general grant fund or something like that. But that's what it's for. So we've actually built in, we know we're going to have some deputies retire this year. We've built that into this. So that's why it's a little more this time. So that's kind of where we're at.
How's the stock of bulletproof vests? Are they adequate, or do you have some older ones?
So is what we have. So when you're issued a vest, it lasts, I want to say they last for about 5 years is what you get out of them. So they're issued to them. They keep them for the 5 years. We're on top of them. We don't have any that are expired right now, except maybe mine. Mine might be one that is, but I don't think anyone else's is. So I think that we've been able to stay on top of them pretty well, and they're quality. They're good stuff. So good. One thing that I do want you guys to know, so there are times that our deputies are working outside of the county. So we had one this weekend at Helper Vibes that was up there. They're actually paying for them to be there. So we sit them in uniform and everything. They wear that stuff for that too. Just want them to be safe. So
Sounds good. No questions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the application for the bulletproof partnership grant.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
passes.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Item number 11 is the review and possible approval of real estate purchase agreement for Lot 1 of the Carbon County Industrial Subdivision. Commissioner Jensen, would you like to talk to this, speak to this?
Yeah, so out south of Price, at the 4 Mile Hill area, the county inherited back in the 60s, I think, a large piece of ground from the state where they built a Job Corps facility, and that was closed, and the county ended up with that property. And there are multiple businesses currently in there. The county put some road and improvements in, water and sewer, and sold lots over the years. And there's a parcel on the north end of this subdivision that is U-shaped and encompasses a little over 14 acres. We've had in mind for a number of years that property could be used for economic development. It could potentially be used as somewhat of an incentive to entice someone to build something there. We've had a few people ask about it, but everyone that has showed interest in it had more of a desire to buy the property and just sit on it and use it for an investment. And so we've not had any interest in doing that. A few weeks ago, we received a request from Intermark Steel, who currently owns property adjacent to this, and they have indicated that their business is expanding and they're going to need a larger piece of ground in order to make sure they don't have to pick up from where they are and move to a different location to make sure they have enough property. So as they requested an opportunity to purchase that ground, we decided to advertise that we were making it available. And I think the deadline was May 15th on Monday for proposals to come in. The proposals were pretty specific about how much they would offer for the property, as well as specifically what they were going to do with the property. And our interest would be to make sure something gets built and the property adds to the tax value of the community, as well as create more jobs, which we received one proposal, and that was from Intermark Steel, and their proposal really fit our criteria for the sale of the property. And so their proposal is that they would offer $10,000 per acre. There's 14.86 acres on the property. So that would be a total of $148,600 that they have offered for that. they've given us a pretty good rundown of what they are paying their employees wage-wise, and they are above average, which is another goal that we have. They're over, their payroll is over $10 million a year, so that's a significant thing for the county. And maybe a little more history about them was just that they've been in business for 7 years here. They started their operation at the old Pacific Central property on 4th South and 4th East. And that was not a very good place for that type of activity. And so they purchased property out in the industrial park, and they expanded when Reedhurst Trucking moved their business into a new location. They purchased the property and the buildings that Reedhurst was in, and they've really filled the existing buildings up. They build stairs and handrails for very large projects. So this company built all of the stairs and handrail for the Salt Lake International Airport expansion. So they have a lot of work, and they also have purchased the majority stock in a company that does injection molding of recycled plastics, that they can make stair treads out of this recycled material rather than out of steel. And so there's a real need for those, because most of these larger projects have a requirement for recycled material or green type of things, and this will actually allow for these large buildings to add this new stair tread material to the project's goal of being able to use some recycled products. So I think maybe one last thing so the Intermark Steel has purchased a 5-acre parcel that fills in the U shape of the property the county owns from Pence Brothers Drilling. And they intend to place I don't remember exactly the size, it's about a 25,000 square foot building that they will move their current operation to. And then the buildings they're in right now, they would begin using those buildings to do their injection molded process for the stair treads. And they just have a lot of work in front of them and are expecting to need some pretty big expansion. So this will probably triple or 4 times the square footage they currently have right now. So it's a big deal.
Do we want to talk about the funding or the money that we receive from selling the property, what we're going to use that for?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. The intention of the funding that we receive from the sale of this property will go back into the roads in that current subdivision, or that current job facility, industrial park. The roads have been there for a long time, and they're in pretty terrible shape. We have a lot of important businesses that are currently located there, and I think it's important that it be noted that the money that we receive from the sale will go back into the roads in that facility, so that it will dress it up and help those businesses in what they do.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and maybe even one other chunk of money that would come in is the sale of the old animal control facility, and that is close to having that all taken care of. Is that correct, Lynn?
Yeah. In terms of economic development, it's crucial. Timing is extremely important. And so in this case, it could be that if you waited, you might get more for the property, but on the other hand, you might lose the chance at economic development, which is huge. And so I think the timing on the economic development has to trump the issues of whether or not there could be a better price obtained.
Yeah, and maybe one other thing, that we had appraisals done 3 years ago on that property, and the appraised value then was 15,000 an acre. And so the offer's less than 15, it's at 10, but we really feel the value long-term to the county is more than worth trying to get more out of it.
Well, we'll get that in tax revenue and also. Any other comments? How about a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the offer from Intermark Steel to purchase Lot 1 of the Carbon County Industrial Subdivision for $10,000 an acre, a total of $148,600.
Second that motion.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 12 is consideration and possible approval of a Carbon County credit card for Alex Thane for the Recreation Department.
I don't see any problem with that. I'll make a motion to approve a credit card for Alex Thane for the Recreation Department, from the Recreation Department.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.